reality sets in, and we're here.
Respect isn't given, it's earned. In blood.
Boxing King Media, we're back again for episode 49 of the Brutally Honest podcast. One more till we get to 50. Dom, I thought we'd use a new location. I bet this room has got plenty of history behind it. We are sat in the Ingle Gym changing room, which has been here since day one, I'm guessing.
Yeah, this actually was, obviously, this building was the Winkerbank schoolrooms. It belongs to the church. And this actually was one long room. It went into the other side. And we put a partitioning wall in it. And just up there is a loft hole. And it goes up into two of the rooms. And in the hallway, you can't see it now, we lowered the ceiling. It got an archway. It used to have a staircase to go in the rooms above this room here, where the people who are, whether they were teachers or whatever, used to have their offices or whatever. So this has got a bit of history. Then we built a wall across here a few years back. But yeah, it nearly got burnt down when some kid came in. A kid from Winkerbank came in one weekend. The gym was left open. This a few years back. And set a fire into the change room, nearly burnt the gym down. Luckily, it survived. So yeah, it's got some history. It's had some people in this gym. I've actually got a photo in here. I'll have to find it, yeah. In fact, it's on my phone, of Richard Towers, Anthony Joshua, and my lad when he was only young. And Anthony Joshua came to spar Richard Towers, and we had a photo took in this change room. So I'll find that one out. That was just before Anthony turned pro.
Are you going to have to show me that?
I will do, yeah.
I'll put it up on the screen. So obviously we've got plenty of things to talk about, but the first thing I want to mention is that we've got a new sponsor for the podcast for the forthcoming future, the Green Room Experience. And I think if people remember, I mentioned them a while ago. They basically sell hospitality tickets for major events around the UK, and they currently have a crazy deal on for the Chris Eubank Jr. Conor Benn rematch. Tickets are £1,434 each, but you get the full VIP experience, sat in heated seats, dinner, service, etc., and a Q&A, a one-to-one session with some stars that are going to be there who I can't name yet, but they will have boxers in the room. So yeah, have you ever experienced hospitality?
Yeah, listen, when I go to an event, obviously I'm always in the ring. I'm always with the fighters, but I've been probably to hospitality 2 occasions. One actually was an invite for one of my friends from Dubai when we went to the Misfits to Manchester. It was great because we came in through a special door. They gave us the champagne, not that I drink champagne. Took Luca and his brother. We walked through, got the special way in, and got to the box, and we had his own little waitress serving the food and the drinks, and a group of people. It was quite good actually. I would prefer to do it that way than actually sit in the crowd, I think, when I watch an event. But it was a good experience. If you're one of them type of people who likes to have a good night out, get plenty of drink down, plenty of good food and entertain people, them hospitality boxes are superb.
Well, there you said, and if it's something that you could experience once, a luxury padded seating, etc., and it's in the Tottenham West stand of the stadium, and like I said, the main thing is obviously it's expensive, but it's the type of experience that if you can afford to pay for it, you basically do it. I think it appeals to a certain type of clientele. So yeah, the Green Room Experience, and the link for the tickets for that event are going to be pinned in the comments. So if you're interested in going to Eubank Jr. Ben, hit it up. So Dom, I think the first thing we should talk about is your top in the last episode, because there was a bit of an uproar about your top. Couple of things. What size was it? Was it your missus's top?
Well, actually, I don't want to say this. It's got one of them things with gusset underneath where it fastens here, so it keeps it tight. Down on your abs, it shows your abs. So I put a thicker one on today. This is also from Decathlon. It weren't actually my missus's top. No, it's what I use for cycling. And if you wear it when you've got a bit of a gut, it does actually emphasise that. But now I've got a 6-pack, I can wear that kind of stuff. Tight lycra. Showing off my flat stomach at my age. So I'm real in it.
It is. There's not many people that can walk about with a six pack. And so we're going to talk about the boxing the other night, and we'll work our way up through the card. The first fight I want to speak to you about is Hamza Uddin, a kid from Warsaw, who I think I told you about him about a year and a bit ago when he was signed up by Matchroom. I think he won the senior ABAs in his last year by knockout, I think in the first or second round. Hopefully I'm not wrong. But he did definitely drop the guy. So yeah, he won his first title, the English title, and he won the WBA Continental at flyweight. What did you make of his kind of...
Well, I watched him a lot as an amateur. I thought he was really good, and he actually looks bigger than a flyweight because how he's built. You tend to find when you see flyweights, they're little skinny guys, but he's quite muscular. He's got good reaction time, very fast, very good fighter. But I did watch him as an amateur. He did stand out. And it's good that we've got somebody in that really, in that lower division, flyweight, 8 stone. We haven't had a flyweight for years. And he could be the one.
Edwards.
Well, all right. We have had a flyweight for years, but he weren't really my cup of tea, Sonny Edwards.
That's as a person, not as a fighter.
Well, yeah, even as a fighter, he weren't bad as a fighter, were he? But like I said, I think he could have done a lot better. But I like the look of this guy. The difference being, I would imagine. Oh, look, you can't take anything away from Sonny. Excellent fighter, great movement, very, very hard to beat. Just not a big puncher. Whereas this guy's got the movement, probably not as much as Sonny, but he can dig, and that's what's always going to kind of separate those fighters who get attraction at a lower weight. If you can punch and knock people out, then it's exciting because you don't really get a lot of big punchers at them smaller weights, and that's kind of what happened when Naz came on the scene. That because he was a featherweight, it was all about welterweights and middleweights. When Naz came on the scene, a featherweight, and he started knocking people out, everybody got excited about it, and for a while that division was on fire. So maybe it's going to happen with this guy Uddin. He can punch, he's got the movement, he's very stylish. And he knows what he's doing, so it's going to be an exciting journey. He's only young.
He's Bengali as well, which is interesting because I've been doing some research. I don't think there's ever been a British Bengali that's made it big in boxing or even won the English title. So he might be the first of...
Yeah, we just might have to change his name though to the Bengal Tiger. That sounds like a good name.
Yep, Bengal Tiger. And I picked up something there. I'm glad that you didn't let personal feelings about Sonny come into play and you gave him the flowers about his boxing journey because the people might think because of you guys have had some back and forth.
No, but listen, for his boxing ability, he was an excellent mover. Just sometimes when you look at him when he finished his career and he was telling about all the problems he had, smoking weed and everything else, it just makes you wonder how far they could have gone if they could have kind of controlled it a little bit. But I guess that's what makes them good at, makes them good. But it's always going to be the downfall at the end of the day.
I find it fascinating knowing what he did, considering he was smoking. So the next fight, Junaid Boston, Junaid used to be in your gym a while ago. He took up the rematch straight away, and a lot of people thought he might avoid Bilal Fawaz, who's been a boxer for like 30-odd years old, big, strong African guy. Obviously, he's got his own struggles and journey to this point in life. And obviously the first fight was quite close. Some thought Junaid won't take it, but he took the rematch, and obviously how it unfolded.
Rematches are, they're tricky, aren't they? Because very few rematches go the way you want. I'll give you an example. George Groves against Cole Froch. He put in a good performance at first, George Groves, and it was kind of a controversial stoppage. And a lot of people thought that George Groves was going to beat Cole Froch the second time, and Froch flattened him. David Price boxed an American Southpaw years ago. I forget what they call him now. And it was a big test. And David Price...
something Thompson.
Yeah, I think, whatever he was. But I think he got beat. And then they rematched him again, and he got beat again, even worse. So
I don't know if you remember, he gave that funny interview post.
Tony Thompson.
Tony, yeah. I don't know if you remember what he said after the rematch when he won. I think he said
something about Frank Maloney keeps bringing.
No, he said he was going to break his wife's hips because he's not been anywhere near her during. Okay. It was just quite funny. He said it on live TV.
But I think actually in one of those fights, probably the second fight, he actually failed a drug test on a diuretic. So, maybe he was on PEDs at the time. But it was not a good idea. And I think Frank Maloney managed David Price at that time, and Frank was always a big one on, well, you've got to beat the kids who beat you. But it didn't work out for David Price. Same with Johnny Fisher and Dave Allen. It's like, realistically, it was a draw the first fight, was it?
No, was it? I can't.
Or did Fisher win?
Oh, Fisher won. Sorry, it was a close decision. Fisher won by one.
So realistically, the smart move would have been to avoid Dave Allen because he got beaten the second fight, and maybe.
But if he avoided him, then he would have got the flag.
Yeah, but what you do is you wait a few fights, build the confidence up, see where the errors have been made. My dad always used to say those type of fights are the gypsies' warning. Dave Allen was a solid fighter. Johnny Fisher, a relative novice, he got through the fight, and whoever was around, he should have took a step back and said, "Look, there's a lot of things here where in that fight, what we've seen, what need to be addressed and worked on." And maybe they got pressured into that fight, but what you would have done is had 2 or 3 other fights first, and then gone back to Dave Allen and tried your luck. And same with Junaid. It's probably not a fight he should have gone back to, and it's nearly been 9 months since he boxed that kid. Neither of them have boxed. So it would have probably been a better idea to get a bit of a feeler, put Junaid out a bit earlier, like maybe 3 or 4 months ago, see what he's like, and then put him back in with that kid. And now he's been beat and he's always gone, and it's kind of tarnished him in a way. Can he come back from that? Maybe he can, maybe he can't. But it's hard for young kids when they show a lot of promise, because he did show a lot of promise. I had him in this gym for years, and he was a real talent. And things changed, and he moved in a different direction. And maybe we'll never see him box again. Who knows? But it's a shame, when you're in Sheffield, chief support, everybody comes to see you, pressure's on, and you get beat. And it was an exciting fight. He got wobbled a few times. It was a bit, he kind of fought the other guy's fight really, instead of boxing and sticking to what he can do best, being elusive.
Yeah, I think the point you raised there, regards to not taking the rematch straight away, like who would be responsible for that? Because I'm pretty sure I can remember an interview with Eddie after the first fight. I'm pretty sure he said something along the lines of that you can't move on till you beat him. Or
well, that's not necessarily true. Loads of fighters have moved on. Look at Klitschko's when they got beat by people. Which one was it? Vladimir.
Corey Sanders?
Oh no, was it Vitali? I think it was Vitali. Was it Vitali? When they got beat, they didn't rematch, and what happened is brother beat the one up who beat the brother. That's what they did. I don't think they rematched anybody. I remember Corey Sanders beating one of them, stopping him.
Yep.
And the older Klitschko then battering Corey Sanders for good measure. That's what they used to do, like tag team him. So it's not a thing that if you can't beat that fight, you can't move on. That's just a promoter's thing. It's actually down to the manager and the trainer saying, no, I put a lot of time and effort into this kid. That's not the right match. I don't really want to do that. I'd rather have a 6-rounder somewhere, even if it's on a small show somewhere, get his confidence back, work on stuff where he went wrong in that fight, work on it, have a look in a different fight, maybe have 2 or 3 fights, then put him back in and do a proper job. Because realistically, that was the wrong decision to put him back in with that kid.
How good is Bilal Fawaz, do you think?
He's tough, but...
Awkward.
He's awkward, but Junaid's listed as a prospect. He won a lot of good amateur comps, and this is the thing. It's really the guy shouldn't have given him a fight, should he? He shouldn't have given him a fight. He shouldn't have even been that close in the first fight. So, Junaid's got a lot of work to do. He's got to have a look at himself, look at how he's training, look at his whole situation, because obviously something's not right.
Yeah. He's 23, so hopefully we'll see him back, because there's nothing better than boxing thriving up north. And then obviously talking about boxing in the big time again in Sheffield, it's been years since we saw that kind of crowd in Sheffield. But before I talk about the Dave Allen fight, we're doing we're linking up with the Ricky Hatton Foundation. People will have seen it on Instagram recently. So we've teamed up with J&M Memorabilia and as well as the Ricky Hatton Foundation Instagram page. I'll put both links up on screen right now. Basically, we're going to give away a Ricky Hatton signed glove to one lucky person, and hopefully we're going to try and get more traffic towards the Ricky Hatton Foundation. So We're going to have a post on our Instagram account that you can see if you head over to Boxing King Media. In a nutshell, you've just got to follow J&M Memorabilia and follow the Ricky Hatton Foundation and just comment on that post and you'll be in the draw to win this glove. So if you want to do that, head over to the Instagram page after you've seen this video. Yeah, it's a nice little glove that he signed a few months ago.
Yeah, he's always good for signing gloves. Every time we went over to have somebody spar with him, he'd always sign us a pair of gloves, and we'd raffle them off for charities when we had amateur boxing shows. So it was always good, Ricky signing gloves. But some people wouldn't sign gloves. Some fighters, you ask, they want a letter for charity, or because they think you're making money off them. Ricky weren't bothered. He'd sign as many gloves as you took, which were great. So yeah, it'd be good.
And on Ricky, I know you went to the funeral. Do you just want to share how that experience was?
You know, it was a for such a sad occasion. It was a fantastic celebration of his life. Riding into Manchester on the main road, the streets were lined with blue balloons, people waiting for him well before, you know, about 10 o'clock when I came in, lining the streets all the way into Manchester City. I got to the cathedral, people were waiting outside. It was absolutely rammed. You know, he was a massive part of Manchester. The Manchester people loved him. He's so sad, but the service, it was a great service. Everybody turned up, you know, fighters to support him and his family. And it was just a sad occasion watching the videos of him from being a kid boxing as an amateur, little blonde-haired kid, you know, being brought through the journey. Because I've never really seen that. A lot of people haven't seen it because obviously his personal videos, what Ray's probably got, his dad. But when you look at him, how he started out, it just reminds me of the Nat when Naz started out and Kel started out. It could have very easily been, you know, put one of them in the same position. But they've had this terrific journey. It starts at 7 and 8 years old. You know, they don't just become great overnight. And it was a fantastic service, well put together. A great celebration of his life. So glad I went, you know. And like I said, there was a massive outpouring from the Manchester people around that cathedral, and then afterwards in the pubs and stuff. I mean, he served that city well. I mean, when he boxed in Manchester, you know, that city was on fire. They must have made some money every time he boxed. The money what must have gone into that place, what he generated, was unreal. And you don't really get that, you know. Although he's not the best boxer to come out of Britain, he's one of the best. You know, I wouldn't say he's the best, but popularity-wise, personality-wise, like, there were nobody better than him because he appealed to everybody and he appealed to the man in the street. And, you know, I think somebody's on about putting a statue up in Manchester. Yeah, they should put a statue up of him in Manchester because although there's been some great fighters in Manchester, if you say, pick a fighter from Manchester where everybody knows, it's going to be Ricky Hatton. It's like if you pick a fighter from Sheffield where everybody knows, it's probably going to be Nazim Ahmed. So, you know, they should put a statue up. You know, he put boxing on the map. He put Manchester on the map. Kept it going for such a long period of time, and we all had a good run out of it. You know, the shows that we had fighters on when he boxed in Manchester, the big promotions. It was always a tremendous night, and you didn't really get. You went to Manchester Arena in them days. It was absolutely heaving. He filled it. You know, Nazim Hamid filled it. Nigel Benn, Steve Collins filled them big marquee fights. You know, they got filled like to capacity, and you don't often see that. And he was one of those fighters.
Indeed, he was, and yeah, what a brilliant send-off he had. I was trying to think the last boxing-related funeral that I saw with that type of attendance and outcry that he brought from people was probably your dad's.
Yeah, it was very similar. I mean, obviously Ricky, he got the cathedral in Manchester. The same, my dad in the cathedral in Sheffield. It was piked. Yeah, and I remember, it's funny because I saw Kerry Kayes. I was sat near Kerry Kayes. I was actually sat behind Billy Graham, and it must have been heart wrenching for Billy because it was he was a massive part of that journey, most of that journey. He was sat in front of me. I was sat next to Jane Couch. Kerry Kayes was sat to my left, and he said to me, because it reminds me when I come to your dad's funeral. I went, yeah, it's you know, it just brings it all home. But yeah, Frank Bruno was there. I had to talk to Frank Bruno. He seems well. Everybody was there. Everybody who should have been there was there. And, you know, they all turned out for him. It was a great day.
Indeed, and moving on from one person loved by the fans to another one that we saw at the weekend, Dave Allen. Before we talk about the fight, I think the first thing we've got to kind of almost celebrate is that crowd and atmosphere. I know MAKHMUDOV said there was 10,000 people there. It could have been 9 or 8, but I think people don't count the floor seats, because the floor seats alone about 3,000 people, and then obviously they had thousands in the stand, so that could accumulate to close to 10. But either way, the atmosphere was incredible and probably one of the best I've experienced. What did you make of that? Like, just the ring walk, seeing Dave as a young lad come into this gym. Did you ever picture this guy's going to walk out down the road with 10,000 people cheering?
No, but and even getting that to say that Dave's not even a champion, or well, he's not a British champion, but did he have a belt? What belt he had? That
WBA.
He had one of the international belts, did he?
Yeah.
So that was good. And when you think how up and down his career's been, to be able to generate that kind of interest this late on in his career just goes down. It's testament to his personality, isn't it? Another one, down to earth kid. He's had a bit of a bad story or an interesting story, whichever way you want to look at it. But he's a very endearing character, and people warm to him about his honesty. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He's been on a tremendous journey. So, to be able to get 10,000 people in the Sheffield Arena is quite a feat, because there's been other fighters who haven't managed that. I think Deontay Wilder's fought there, Audrey Harrison.
Amir Khan's fought there.
Yeah, and it's not been piped.
Kell Brook.
Yeah, but he was busy when Kell Brook was there. Ricky Hatton boxed there, that was a decent crowd. So he's in that kind of group of people. So it was tremendous. It's a shame he didn't get the decision, but look, he's hard as nails, Dave, isn't he? I believe the kid broke his hands on Dave's head. But that's a bit worrying, Dave taking them kind of shots. But, he didn't win the fight, but he's won over a lot of fans still. Whether he carries on, I don't know. But hopefully now he's in a place financially where he doesn't have to worry too much about his future.
What did you make of the way the fight played out? Because a lot of people are saying, oh, Dave should have done this, should have done that. But I spoke to him afterwards and he said it's easy saying that, but when you're actually in the ring against that big 6'6" guy, it wasn't as easy to pull the trigger.
No, and the guy could obviously punch. Do you know what I mean? He's only ever been, well, he got beat by the Turkish guy, who's a very good operator.
He's actually ranked the second best heavyweight on Boxraw.
Is it?
Only behind Usyk, yeah.
Okay.
Which is probably fair.
Yeah, it was good. The other fight he got stopped in was a cut. But like I said, for Dave to be able to do 12 rounds with him, it just shows you, Dave must have got himself in decent shape. But yeah, pushing yourself, it's difficult to step up them gears when somebody's ramming a stiff jab in your face and the shots are heavy. I mean, he rocked Dave several times, and Dave could have easily just said, I've had enough, packed in or whatever, but he didn't. He saw the 12 rounds out and he was still firing at the end. Even when the bell went, he threw 2 or 3 shots, but just missed the kid. But Dave got revved up by the crowd. He knew everybody come to see him and they wanted a result. So he didn't get the result, but he's, like I say, he's won a lot of fans and put in a decent performance. But like he says, you can't always get up through the gears, and sometimes you only find that out when you're actually in the fight.
We saw that round 9 or 8, I think it was, where Dave had him wobble with 10 seconds to go.
Had him on the ropes, he slung everything at him. Big overhand rights, and the kid kind of shook him, wobbled, and glad for the end of the bell. But I think that was about Dave's best hurrah. But the shots obviously affected the kid, but the kid is a young kid. Well, he's not young, but he's a tough kid. He's a big kid, and he can't really afford to lose, can he? So he managed to weather the storm and come through the fight.
The trainer's perspective in this, because there's a very small amount of people saying that he should have been pulled out. I think there was some conversation between him and Jamie Moore in the round 11 where Dave said, I'm taking too many shots, and Jamie said, I want to pull you out, but I think Dave insisted he wanted to stay in there till the end. So I just want to put you on the spot. If you're that coach, and obviously the fight looked how it looked, I personally didn't think it was that bad, but what did you think?
Well,
would you pull him out?
If you're going to pull somebody out, you're not going to pull them out in the 11th round when they've got 3 minutes to go, because they've already had a lot of heavy shots anyway. Yeah, something drastic could happen in the 12th round, but more than likely you've got to gauge that, and it didn't. If you're going to pull somebody out and if he's getting beat to death in the first 6 rounds, then it's probably an idea to pull the fighter out if he's looking shocking. But he didn't particularly look shocking, Dave, at all. He just didn't seem to get going like he can do. So I would never pull somebody out in the 11th round unless they're absolutely getting hammered all over and not firing anything back. And Dave was throwing shots back and having a go. So I don't think that's, you know, I think it was important for Dave to finish on his feet for his own satisfaction, credibility, and maybe if he's going to have future fights, it's always good to finish on your feet against a decent level of opponent. So probably, you know, maybe Jamie was just saying that to say to Dave, look, you know, you're going to have to do something in this 12 round, get through it. Don't be like taking your foot off the gas, because if you're not, I'm not going to send you out there if you've had enough. And Dave went, no, I'm going to do it. And if Dave could have said, well, fair enough, yeah, I think I've had it. And, you know, Jamie would have pulled him out. But I think Dave, you know, Jamie knows Dave well enough. He's experienced enough Jamie more, what Dave's capable of. And he let go another round.
Some good reverse psychology there then. What about there's also some mentions about Dave's physical appearance, mainly his gut as a man with a six-pack. I don't know if you can advise us. Dave is saying it's the best camp he's had, you know, full 12, 13 weeks. He's been on it. But obviously people think, why you're not body beautiful then? Obviously, if you look at Andy Ruiz's example, not everyone works out. Is it possible to get Dave Allen a six-pack is the question.
It's not necessary for Dave Allen to get a six-pack. That's not, you know, that's not the mark of fitness. That's just the mark of low body fat. And having low body fat's not always a good thing. It actually lowers your testosterone and your ability to recover. So it's not the best thing to have. It's just that you see a lot of fighters, especially in the lighter weights, who've got a six-pack because they're dehydrated. They've had to burn a lot of body fat off to make a weight that they probably shouldn't be making. You see, back in the day, when fighters had to weigh in on the day, they weren't that ripped. They were in good shape, solid, but they weren't. You used to look at Manny Pacquiao, even Kell Brook, Floyd Mayweather on the scales, Marquez, when they were dried out, they were absolutely ripped to bits because they're making a weight they really shouldn't be making. So we're getting this impression that every fighter who gets on scale should be in tremendous physical condition, having a six-pack. Six-pack just shows that you've got good body condition, low body fat, and I've seen people with six-packs in good shape with no stamina or you know, durability, and especially with a heavyweight as well. How many heavyweights do you see with a six-pack? Very, very few. So, you know, if Dave's done his training and done the rounds, and done what he needs to do, then it's not necessary for him to have a six-pack. He just needs to be fit.
Should he carry on?
Depends what's out there for him. If he's going to carry, you know, it's whether he's got the incentive to do it anymore. Has he got the desire? Does he need the money? What's going to motivate him? Because you'll always find with fighters that money is a motivator, but the biggest motivator for a fighter is wanting to be the best and nobody can beat him, and I can beat that kid. It's that, you know, you can't, yeah, I can. It's that kind of attitude I've always found. And when you lose that desire to have the fight or take up the challenge, that's when you should pack up. But if you want to get up every day and you want to beat somebody up, or you want to go and prove yourself in the ring, you're looking forward to it, great. But if you get up and thinking, this is a job, this is hard work, don't fancy this anymore, and you're doing it because you financially need to, you need the money, that's the time you shouldn't really box.
If, as someone that's known Dave, what's your personal opinion? Based on what you saw,
my personal opinion would be, if he's got enough money and he's managing fighters and training fighters, he's got really nothing else to prove, because I think he's had, you know, the best of what he's got. He's had a good little Indian summer, and had some decent fights. He's made some money, and he's got enough knowledge and experience there to manage and train kids, have a little stable together. He's got a good reputation, a good relationship with Eddie and Matchroom. Get his fighters on there, build. You know, Doncaster had some good fighters in the past. There's not much happening at the minute. Maybe Dave Allen's the man to take over from the likes of Johnny Rushton and all these other fighters who, these other managers and trainers out there who had it wrapped up for years, and have fighters coming through and start building a stable for himself and making money that way, while he's still able to do it, and he's still a young man. Still got all his faculties.
Quick word on MAKHMUDOV. How good is he in your opinion? And do you give him any chance against Anthony Joshua? Might be a rumoured fight.
He's basic in it, but he's tough and he's strong in his game, and he can take a shot. And just looking at Anthony's last couple of fights, it's an ideal fight for Anthony Joshua, but you know, you would have to worry because the kid can punch. And Daniel Dubois caught Joshua napping, didn't he, with his shot. So it's an interesting fight, whether he fights Joshua or Dubois. He's definitely in that group of, you know, that group of people, group of fighters who can fight each other. Like he can fight, like I say, he could fight Joshua, could fight Dubois, he could fight the Australian fella. So, you know, he's in that mix of people, isn't he? It's just about timing. I wouldn't advise that to be a fight for Anthony Joshua coming back.
Okay.
I think Anthony Joshua needs a confidence builder fight.
I want to get your opinion on a comment that Paul Smith made about Dave Allen and Johnny Fisher. I'll read the tweet out so it's direct. So I think he's replying back to somebody talking about neither Allen or MAKHMUDOV should be facing AJ next. That's just Eddie wrapping AJ in cotton wool. But then Paul Smith replied to that and basically said, Allen, with all due respect, is there as a gimmick because he beat another gimmick in Fisher. I heard AJ being mentioned and it wound me up. Wilder too. I'm happy Allen has been paid, but that's it now surely. If you can't beat MAKHMUDOV, I don't want to see him hurt. Oh, Big John, Johnny's dad replied back to that. Gimmick ? I'll save this post, mate. And then so bit of ex-beef.
Maybe, but look,
Could they be classed as gimmicks? Is that a fair comment or not?
In this day and age, if Paul Smith was around in this day and age, maybe he'd be facing similar kind of remarks. See, four Smith brothers, all good fighters. Callum, Liam, Stevie, and Paul. And to be honest, Paul was a really good fighter, but I don't ever think he lived up to the expectations. He was I think he's the oldest. He got plenty of ability. You know, plenty of ability, but I think all the other ones have. But I don't think Paul did. So, what's worse, being a gimmick and you know, Johnny Fisher doing what he's doing, or being a kid who has got talent and not really achieving what you should have done? Everybody's got a flaw somewhere.
He did get robbed in that Felix Sturm fight. He should have been a world champion.
Yeah, exactly, but I'm just saying to you, but he got robbed, and then he's had hard fights, but looking at Paul Smith's career compared to his brothers, and whether you should compare it or not, Paul Smith could fight, he got ability, he was tough. I had a couple of kids fight him, tough as nails he was. But for me, I don't think he was as successful as he should have been, and as successful as his brothers were. So, you know, I know he does a bit of punditry, Paul, but, you know, you have to see in this day and age for what it is. And we're going to have these kind of social media fighters who are getting popular on social media. You know what I mean? They're popular because they're entertaining. You know, Johnny Fisher's entertaining with his dad, Bosch. Dave Allen's entertaining what he did. He got, you know, big on social media, just being a down-to-earth kid. There are these type of people. And it interests the public, and you need that public interest. You need that crossover. You don't just want dedicated fight fans following boxing. You want to be crossing over into the general public. That's where the money is. That's where boxing gets a better rap. When it becomes a national interest, like it used to be with Ben, Eubank, you know, Michael Watson, all Nazim Amir Bruno. They were all tabloids. Everybody was always talking about them. Boxing back then was far bigger. When we had more personalities in boxing who could, you know, cause a stir and cause excitement. We've only got an handful now, so I understand what Paul's saying, but you know, I wouldn't say Johnny Fisher is a gimmick because that's something else. I would say that some of the misfit fighters may be gimmicks, but not Johnny Fisher.
Okay. And obviously Dave Allen.
Dave Allen's definitely not a gimmick fighter. Dave Allen's been in with some of the, you know, a gimmick. He's been in with some tough. Like I said, I've had him down here sparring. He's fought David Price. He's fought Joshua. He's fought Richard Towers. He's fought you know, a good amount of people. He's not a gimmick fighter, is he? But Dave's just another one. Dave, for me, has never realised his potential, but he's made the best of a bad situation probably. But, you know, that's where not everybody has the same journey, do they?
Indeed. That's it, Dom. I think the last thing I want to talk about is because when I walked into the gym, I saw something on the floor that got my eyeballs racing. You talked about these Ingle Gym Bags that your dad originally designed and brought to life in, what, 40, 50 years ago? And Dominic Ingle's doing the same with the same manufacturers. You managed to trace the same people that made the bags for your dad, and they're exclusively making them same bags again.
Yeah,
Obviously.
we got the bags, and when I put the video out a couple of months back, I got Anthony Joshua interested. He's got a bag. Actually, those out there are for him. I've got to ship them out to him in Dubai. But yeah, I've got a
Well, that bag that Anthony Joshua's got as well. There's another
another twist to that.
There's another twist. There's another very big name in boxing
Oh.
that's got his hands on one of these bags as well. But the video that will be coming out soon. But just
that bag, I think that's the yellow one. I think
yeah.
I think it's the yellow one, and that's the one you'll always see Naz bouncing around at.
Yeah.
And you know, people say, well, you know, this green one's got a lot of sentimental value. What's in the corner now, which I wouldn't give away. Naz was on that a lot. It just happened that I think Naz was dancing around the yellow one a few years back. But it's gone into good hands. It's gone into Anthony Joshua, and I'm sure, you know, it's got some history. But we've saved two of them. My nephew was telling me, Luca, that we had another one, and we called it the Russian heavy bag because it was red, blue, and white striped. And I was trying to think where it ended up, and I think, if I'm right, and he'll message me later because he watches this video. I think I gave it to John Buster Keaton for a gym that he's at. So it'd be interesting if he's got that bag. I'll have to ask him to send me a photo of it.
I'd love to get John on this. I'm sure I've replied to some of his comments before. He lives in Leeds, doesn't he?
No, he lives in Sheffield.
Yeah. You need to get him on.
Yeah, he's got some good stories, John Keaton.
Just before, because you're going to go out and show me these bags.
Yeah.
Just before we go do that, I found this picture of Prince Nassim Mohammed on UK. Let's give a shout out to the Instagram page that came across this picture. Vintage Boxing London. This picture here, is that in this change room?
That's exactly there. Well, look at the bench. You can see it's exactly where it is.
Do you want to show us? I'll pan the camera around, and then I'll have this picture of Naz on screen so people can see.
Yeah.
You're going to show us where Naz was sat, and then we're going to go and see these bags.
Yeah, that's the exact spot. There.
Oh, okay.
In that corner.
I thought you was going to go.
So they've come in from here and taken the photo from here, and it's the exact bench. It's the exact same bench there.
Yeah, so that picture you can see Nazim Mohammed
That's
is
the
sat
bench.
there.
Yeah.
Enjoying the view. So yeah, you're going to show us these bags,
Yeah,
Dom?
the bags. Here we go. Look, these are just a few of the colours.
There we go.
Originals. We got the logo on this time.
And it's the exact same material.
Exactly same material. The same
that you got
fella.
in this bag here, yeah.
Yeah, the same fella who made that bag made these, and he used to box for us a few years back. But yeah, so we've got an handful of these. What I'm going to be selling once they're done. And I've had this batch done. They've gone forever. I think I got 30 made altogether, and half of them have gone. There's about 15 left.
Okay.
Once they've gone, they've gone. We're not doing any more.
So I'll put the email address up as to when and how they can get these bags.
So we've just got to fill these now with a magic special ingredient, what makes them the legendary heavy bag.
Yeah. That's it, really, Dom. Any last words before I let you go?
No, that's it. We've had a good day, haven't we, up to now? So yeah, onwards and upwards.
Yep, just showing everyone a full, because there's a lot of people admiring your physique, Dom. They reckon it's lycra, your missus is top.
That's what it is, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Got one of them tight corsets on, you don't pull your stomach in.
Yeah, that's it. Dom,
We hold the sellotape around the bike.
Yep. Dom, thank you for your time.
No worries.
You know, dreams do come true. Reality sets in.